Hi, welcome to LATimes.com. My name is Patrick Day, and I'm here with Michael Cudlitz of The Walking Dead. Michael plays Sergeant Abraham Ford, who is a man with a mission. He joined The Walking Dead last season, and the show on AMC is coming back for its 5th season on October 12th. Michael, welcome. I understand you are fresh off a plane here in LA from the land of zombies.
Yes, we all are. A lot of us flew in this morning. The rest of us flying this afternoon. Big premiere tomorrow night at Universal, so we're very excited.
Excellent. Are the locations that we see on The Walking Dead, are they as remote as they appear on TV?
Yeah. We shoot about 40 minutes outside of Atlanta. A few small towns, Sonoy, Noonan, Fayetteville, that area, and they're pretty remote as it is. I mean, there's a lot of people there, but it's kind of where I grew up in New Jersey. You can find very easily, deep woods, and there's not a lot of cell service. That's my idea of how it's getting remote, is when you have no cell service.
And your last big series was Southland, which was filmed, in and around downtown Los Angeles. I mean, does that affect the feeling of the set when you are, in the heart of a major city versus out in the...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I think both shows, what you touch on is that it's just the environment that you're shooting in, as opposed to shooting on a soundstage where you're having to recreate the environment, pretend you're in an office space when you're actually on a stage that's been built to be an office space. The Walking Dead, as with Southland, we were actually in those environments, with Southland, we're in the city, we're dealing with all the sights and the sounds and the people who are coming in, we're driving through the actual streets in the city, and with The Walking Dead, we're actually out in the wilderness, you're dealing with bugs and the weather elements, and it all informs everything you do. It just makes it better, and it actually makes it so you're doing a lot less work. Yeah. If you buy into it.
Right. And does that affect the mood of the set? I mean, it's such a somber show, and you are, there's no release. You can't go across the street to Starbucks. So does that kind of keep you? I think it keeps you where you need to be to do the show. Mm-hmm.
And it is a somber show. The stakes are very high, and we deal with a lot of intense themes. But the feeling on set is always light. Mm-hmm. I think that's the only way you really can approach that without actually murdering each other by the end of the day or the season.
And what's sort of amazing to me, and when I saw it, and I didn't realize it until then, I went back and really thought about it. Like, you have not been with the rest of the Walking Dead cast until just at the end of last season. Mm-hmm. And that was your first scene there in the boxcar. And then I am assuming in the season premiere, you'll have more scenes with them. What's that like when all of these actors who have been with the show, especially you for half a season, finally get to meet the rest of the cast?
It was pretty awesome. Yeah. They're a really, really, really giving group, mm-hmm. All the way across the board. I actually really love the way I came into the show. I had most of my stuff was with Steven, who plays Glenn, and that small group. And my group that I came in with, Josh McDermott, Christian, that's the way I would prefer to do it, mm-hmm. Because they bring you in. It's intense when they bring you in. You see as new characters come in, you don't sort of have a slow burn. You have a huge entrance, and then you have a slow burn, and they sort of peel back the layers of your character, and you learn more about the characters through experience as opposed to exposition. But when you first come in, it's hard. Mm-hmm. So to come in with a smaller group of just fantastic actors, I prefer it. And then to finally meet the group in the end, it's just, you sort of like, all right, let's do it.
Right. And they've seen you, obviously, because, building up to it.
Exactly, exactly.
Are you going to learn more about, or are we going to learn more about your character in the upcoming season?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And is this a situation where they'll tell you in advance and then you finally get the script, or is it literally like one day you get the script and you read through it and it's all about
TV? Typically, you learn as you get the scripts,
mm-hmm.
but there are discussions that longer term arcs, larger arcs that you do deal with. This show is a little bit different, whereas the information is so protected that we really don't find out until the actual script comes. There are hints. Scott will give us an idea of where we're kind of headed, but a lot less information than is typically given. And it's kind of exciting because I'm also a fan of the show, mm-hmm.
And
had been prior to getting the job. So for me, it's just as well. I don't want to be spoiled. I don't want to know. Right. Just let me know when I have to know. Let me know what I have to know, and then we'll move from there.
Right. And no, the look, you know, the hair and the mustache. I mean, of all the
What are you talking about?
I mean, I mean, even coming in today, you've had several comments on the mustache. And in the comic books, Abraham has a very distinct look. I mean, was that a situation where when you got cast immediately, the discussion was, you're going to look like this, or I want to look like this?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I got 2 phone calls, or 1 phone call with 2 bits of information. One was you're cast, and the second was don't shave. I'm not sure what came first. I think I may have called actually and said, "Don't shave. You've been cast." It's to match the comic books. There's several very specific iconic characters that have very specific iconic looks in Kirkman's graphic novels. I think that's what helps anchor it to the comic. That's what helps people accept this world, because there are elements of it that are bigger than life, which helps you be reminded that it's a comic book, you know. Yet within all that, the most important thing is that we ground these stories in reality, or they're completely unbelievable.
Right.
And in the color version of the cover of the entrance of Abraham Ford, Dr. Eugene Porter, and Rosita Espinosa, he has bright orange hair.
And that was...
That was it. It was not even up for question. It was, okay, here you go. Right. It kind of makes it a little hard to walk around the street. It's not something you can sort of hang on your hanger at the end of the day and walk away from, but it's fun. The fans have been just fantastic. They're massively enthusiastic and fun. And, you know, between the fan support and the support from the network, this has been the most exciting job I've ever had. Yeah. It's just, it's a whole different level.
Right. And, you know, even down to like the stuff I imagine you get to do on a day-to-day basis, you know, as far as killing zombies. I mean, a quick personal story, you know, on my street where I live, the other day I came home.
He's actually going to tell us now about him killing zombies, so please pay attention.
So I came home and I noticed the kids across the street were running around, and they weren't playing cops and robbers or cowboys and Indians. They were playing humans and zombies, like 10-year-old kids. And
which is probably the most politically correct way you could go at that right now, as opposed to the white hats and black hats.
Right.
It's like,
so, but I mean, like, on some level,
who doesn't hate the zombies?
Are you doing that yourself? I mean, as an adult, are you playing out your ultimate, you know, bad guys and good guys?
Yeah, this is every kid's dream. You know, I don't know every kid's dream.
Sure, a lot of kids.
Sure, a lot of kids are out there dreaming of, you know, curing all diseases and brains. They're like, okay, you have your dreams. My dream, absolutely.
Right.
No, it's a lot of fun. It's exciting. It's, you know, it's like we are getting to be, you know, the equivalent of superheroes without any of the special powers. You know, it's just the stakes are huge on the show. Every day is literally life and death. You know, within the context of the show.
Right.
So it's really fun job.
Right. And what's your relationship like with the walkers between takes? I mean, are you know, chatting about the weekend, or
there's no? It's those guys have it rough.
Yeah.
You know, in this, just in the sense of they get in. You know, they're in for a good hour and a half, 2 hours of makeup. You know, in the morning, and it's hot in Atlanta, and they're underneath all that stuff. You know, and they can't necessarily eat or drink, you know, the way we do. Everything's difficult for them, and they're troopers. They're fantastic. The show doesn't work unless those, you know, those not only the special effects from Greg Nicotero, but and his crew, but the actors that are portraying the zombies, because you see it. You see when the takes that don't work, when you know, somebody slipped up or somebody didn't do the zombie the way they're supposed to. There's this very specific way that they walk. It's a lead with the shoulders thing. It's this very specific Walking Dead zombie. And when somebody, you know, fails on their mission to do that, it's very obvious. And these guys and these women are just amazing, you know, at doing it. And they have a lot of people who do it. And then there's, I think, and I may mess this up because I've heard different numbers before, but I think there's about 10 or 12 that are reused and recirculated quite a bit, because they're just that good. And they just keep redoing the makeup, and they use them as call them hero zombies, where they do specific kills that are really focused on, as opposed to the deeper background stuff.
Right. and it's just all over. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
thing that always gets me. It's just like they're, everywhere you look, these guys are surrounding you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then at lunch, they're all just sitting around, drinking soda and smoking cigarettes.
Right. Sort of like going backstage at Disneyland.
Exactly.
Seeing Mickey Mouse.
Exactly.
You mentioned the mission. Now, Abraham's, he's a man on a mission. His sole purpose in life is to get Eugene to Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, and I should say Eugene is a man who presents himself as a doctor who knows the truth about what's happening with this zombie plague.
Yes.
Do you think Abraham believes Eugene, or do you think that that's irrelevant?
I think he has to believe him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's irrelevant.
Because
he has a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
He has this overriding element that he believes needs to be done. And right now, he's lacking a purpose in every other sort of avenue and area of his life.
Mm-hmm.
This is the most important thing. It has to be. And we'll learn later why. But right now, this has to be the mission.
Mm-hmm.
He has to be telling the truth. And, at all cost, it has to be accomplished.
Mm-hmm. One of the themes of the show is the idea that, when something like this happens, there's an apocalypse or any sort of crisis, people change, and like the stress, changes them in various ways. And the main characters in this show are trying to hold on to their humanity, or some are losing their humanity. Do you think that it's possible to look at someone and sort of know how they're going to react in that crisis?
No, because, and I say this from other sort of experiences I've had doing research for other roles. When I was doing Band of Brothers, when I was doing Southland, you speak to these officers, you speak to these soldiers, and they talk about, what it takes to do the job. You can only train somebody, you can profile somebody to a degree and say, okay, they have what it takes basically to do this job. But until they get into those circumstances, those high stress circumstances, you have no idea how they're going to react. And so many times we were told, the biggest, most aggressive person you could possibly think of that you thought would just go in there and just destroy, completely freaks out, either freezes or turns tail and runs.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone who you would not expect, to be in that situation, to rise to the occasion, rises to the occasion. I think those high stress situations in those jobs really do, the incidents that happen help sort of reveal who you really are. Mm-hmm. And there's no way of knowing it until it happens.
Now, you mentioned that you've talked to a lot of officers, you talked to a lot of police officers, Army men, and you've played a lot of, corporals, lieutenants, sergeant now. At this point, do you think that, do you have to research every role, or do you feel like you've talked to so many soldiers that you have that information sort of at heart?
A lot of the information is cumulative,
mm-hmm.
but I never feel like I have all the information. Every situation is different. You don't just play a soldier. There's no cookie cutter soldier. There's no cookie cutter officer. You want to study specifically what that person does, what makes them tick. That's their job.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what necessarily defines every aspect of their life.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm not so arrogant as to think that I know what I'm doing. I'm not an officer. I'm not in the Army. I'm not in the armed service. I'm not a cop. I play one on television.
Mm-hmm.
And every day I need to be reminded of what they do to honor what they do in the proper way. I think the minute I think that I know better, you just like that, you just become a jerk. We've all seen them talk on shows like this. No, I don't. It's every day is reminding myself that I am portraying that and honoring that and doing it to the best, way possible.
Right.
And that all starts with research.
And they must be enormously relieved. I mean, so often in zombie movies or TV shows, the Army guys are portrayed in a bad light. And so we've got an example of an Army man who's sort of kept it together.
That's true. Yeah. The man.
Yeah. So I mean,
the man. We're only in this position because of what you did. Yes.
Yeah. I'm thinking of like Day of the Dead.
Everything. Yeah. It's always the government plan gone awry.
Right. So, but I imagine then, so people, have people come up to you to say thank you, or
no?
Yeah.
Not yet. Not from that specific way, but that may be coming. I think I do bring a lot of the past stuff. Any actor who's been doing this for a while And knock on wood, I've been very fortunate to be doing this for a while. I think people do associate me with other roles that I've played. I think that work does help beef up whatever I'm doing. Whatever wrong choice I make at the time, I think that maybe comes up and goes, well, we'll excuse him because he has all this stuff that he's done. But no, I haven't had anyone specifically in the service or armed services come up in that way.
Right.
You know, but maybe
after this.
Maybe after this.
So we've got some questions from the audience that I'm going to ask you. Deb on Twitter asks, since he is a mission driven, what will or would Abraham do when he completes his mission?
Oh, we'll have to see.
Cindy asks,
maybe not the answer we were looking for. We'll have to see.
And Cindy asks, what's the most difficult thing you've had to deal with for this role as Abe?
The most difficult. I think probably the most difficult thing about this job right now is just being away from home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned, so, you know, the show shoots in Georgia, you live in Los Angeles, and you're there from when to when?
We're there from May through the end of November. So we're there for 7 months. I try to get home every 3 weeks at most. This was a little bit of a longer stretch, but 3 weeks is kind of our cutoff date. And when my kids were younger, they used to travel with me. You know, the whole family traveled, but now they go to high school, so they are in one place. They're stationary.
Right.
So.
And it looks like an incredibly hot show, just from sitting on my couch.
It is at times.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that helps us. You know, you know, we're running around sweaty and hot and miserable, and we're supposed to be sweaty, hot, and miserable. So it's sort of like, okay, that's been taken care of. It just makes it easy.
Jan asks how you feel about Abraham's relationship with Rick and how that will pan out, given that Abraham is a natural leader and Rick is a natural leader.
This has been coming up a lot. Abraham has a very specific mission. He doesn't really, he can give two anythings about where or what Rick has going on. It doesn't really matter. It's you know, he has his concerns and his mission, and whether or not the rest of the group is going to fall in line with that is to be seen. But right now they're not conflicting missions, because right now the joint mission is to get out of the boxcar, because unless they do that, nothing's going to happen.
Right.
Other than that, you know, so far as leadership, he's we talked about training earlier. He's a non-commissioned officer. He's a man's man. He's, you know, he's running this smaller mission. He's not part of the Joint Chiefs. You know, he's not a colonel. He's not somebody who's devising the larger plan. So if somebody wants to step in and take that role and, you know, sort of help lead and give him direction of other missions that need to be taken care of, I don't see that as a conflict at all, actually. I think that he's in this world. Someone had asked, you know, there's so many badasses, there's so many alpha males right now. Like, it's a zombie apocalypse. Who do you think's going to be left? You know what I mean? It's like we're 2 years into it. Who's left? Like, you know, no offense, but the guy selling coffee down at the corner, maybe. Maybe.
Depends on
but
how
probably not. Once again, like I said, the guys who rise up are not always the ones you would expect to. And something may very well be the guy selling coffee at the corner.
And Cindy asks, who or what was your inspiration to start acting?
Oh, wow. I've always wanted to act, apparently, according to my mom.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, apparently there's stories of me standing in front of the television, acting out the commercials, which is sort of terrifying to think about, because they were all jingle-driven commercials. So, which means I was probably standing in front of the television singing most of the time, which is also horrible.
So you adapt the Jolly Green Giant school of
exactly. Ho ho ho. Terrifying. Yeah, but inspiration. No, I've never been one to. I don't really sort of look at different people inspire me, but I've never sort of put anyone up on such a high pedestal where I felt I wanted to be like them or do, you know, that. I throughout my career, as I was getting into my career, realizing where it was headed, being a character actor, I did want to have a career that was sort of could be looked back on, and it would be sort of similar to J.T. Walsh's.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to work.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to do good work. I wanted to work. I wanted to be able to support my family. I never wanted to necessarily be famous. And some people get into it for that, and that's fine. And others don't. You know, and that was never part of the equation. I just wanted to act. I always loved doing it. I think all kids love doing it. And then I just think that they, you know, everyone as a kid, you know, having them, some of their most amazing times were when they were, you know, being massively dramatic. You know, it's like it's in all of us, and then some of us shed it away, and then people like myself just maintain and have to hold on to the fact that they want to turn into a big baby whenever they have to.
Well, Michael, thank you very much. And I don't think Abraham's going to turn into a big baby.
No.
Anytime soon.
Well, no.
Amazing plot twist. So anyway, Michael, thank you very much. And you can see the rest of our TV coverage at latimes.com/showtracker.
Thanks.